still remember the day they were banished. The sun was burning hot, the dust thick in the air, and no one dared speak their names aloud. Her name was Nkem, the girl with the blue eyes. We had never seen eyes like that before, blue like river water under sunlight, yet sharp and cold like glass. She was beautiful, yes, too beautiful. Her skin glowed dark and smooth like roasted palm kernel, and she walked with calmness, like she knew something the rest of us didn't. Everyone in the village feared her beauty. Even the old women whispered that she was not born from a woman but found by the river gods. I was only 16 then, and my mother always told me to stay away from Nkem's family. "Those eyes are not from this world," she said. "They bring trouble." But I was curious. I had seen Nkem help people. She gave herbs to the sick, fetched water for the old, and even sang at children's naming ceremonies. Nothing evil about her. Still, the elders watched her closely, as if waiting for her to do something wrong. Then one day strange things began to happen. The illness. Goats started dying in their pens. The river turned muddy even when there was no rain. Babies fell sick at night, their mothers claiming to hear whispers near the windows. The elders said it was a curse, a punishment from the gods. And as it always happens, the people needed someone to blame. They blamed Nkem's family. They said her father had stolen something sacred long ago. Others said her mother was seen bathing in the river at midnight, singing in a strange language. No one had proof, but fear spreads faster than fire in a dry field. Soon no one came near their hut anymore. Children threw stones at their house. Even the dogs barked whenever Nkem walked by. Yet she never fought back. She only stared with those strange blue eyes, not angry, not sad. Just quiet. The day of judgment. It was the new moon festival when the elders gathered everyone in the square. Drums stopped. The air was heavy. The chief said, "The gods have spoken. The curse on our land comes from one house, the house of the girl with blue eyes." Everyone gasped. I remember Nkem's father trying to speak, but the crowd shouted him down. Her mother fell to her knees crying, "We have done nothing. The gods know our hands are clean." But the elders didn't listen. The priest brought out a calabash filled with white powder and threw it to the ground. When it broke, a wind rose out of nowhere, dry, strong, spinning dust into the air. The people screamed and took it as a sign. "They are cursed," someone shouted. "They must leave the village." And just like that it was done. They were banished before sunset. The journey into the forest. I remember watching them go. Nkem walked in front, her blue eyes bright even in the shadows. Her mother held a small pot. Her father carried a bundle of clothes. No one offered them food or water. The villagers stood watching in silence until they disappeared into the forest. That night, the wind howled louder than usual. The moon hid behind the clouds. I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking of her eyes. 3 days later, the illness in the village stopped. The river cleared. The people said, "See? The curse is gone." Life went on, but peace never really returned. The return. A year passed. Then strange things started again, only worse. At night, people said they saw someone standing by the riverbank, a woman with glowing eyes and long hair wet like she had just come out of the water. Goats refused to drink from the river. Children cried in their sleep, saying a woman was calling their names. One evening, I followed a few hunters who went to check. We found footprints, bare, small like a woman's, leading toward the river. The water was calm, but something shiny was floating on it. It was a piece of white cloth, Nkem's mother's head wrap. The hunters ran back, saying the spirits had returned. That night, drums sounded in the forest. We heard singing, low, haunting, and beautiful. It was a song Nkem used to sing when she fetched water. By morning, one of the hunters was missing. The night of blue fire. The next full moon, the village gathered again, but this time out of fear. The priest said they must perform another sacrifice, a goat, a chicken, and a pot of palm wine. They went to the river to do it. I followed from a distance, hiding behind the trees. When they reached the riverbank, they placed the offerings and chanted. The water was still. The priest raised his staff and said, "Spirits of the river, take this offering and leave us." Suddenly the river boiled, not from fire, but from something unseen. Blue light rose from the water like smoke, twisting into the shape of a woman. The crowd screamed and ran back, but I couldn't move. It wasn't Kim. Her eyes glowed brighter than before. She looked the same, only her skin shimmered like water. She didn't speak. She only raised her hand and pointed toward the village. Then the wind blew strong, angry, cold. Huts fell. The priest dropped his staff and fled. By the time morning came, the village shrine had collapsed, and the chief's roof was gone. No one died, but everyone was terrified. That night, the village was silent. The truth. Weeks later, an old woman confessed what no one wanted to hear. She said Nkem's family was never cursed. They were protectors of the river. The illness came because the villagers built farms too close to the sacred water and polluted it. The gods were angry, but instead of fixing their mistake, the people blamed the innocent. And now they were paying for it. The elders tried to make peace. They took offerings to the river, called Nkem's name, and begged for forgiveness. For many nights nothing happened. Then one morning the villagers found a flute on the riverbank, carved from bone. No one touched it. But from that day the strange events stopped. The river flowed peacefully again. And sometimes when the moon is full, we hear soft singing, the same melody Nkem used to hum. People say she watches from the water, guarding the village that betrayed her. I never thought I would live to see her again. After that night at the river, the night the blue fire rose, I prayed every day for peace. For years the village stayed quiet. No deaths, no sickness, no strange lights. It was as if Nkem's spirit had finally forgiven us. But peace never lasts long in our land. It never does. The year the river dried. It began slowly. First the river started to shrink. Every morning when we went to fetch water, the shore stretched further and further inward. The fish disappeared. The once green grass around the water turned brown, and the air began to smell like rot. The elders said the gods were angry again. They ordered sacrifices, goats, chickens, even money, but nothing changed. One evening, a small boy ran into the village square shouting that he had seen something in the river, something that looked like a woman walking on the dry sand, her skin glowing faintly under the moon. When people went to check, they found nothing. Only footprints, bare and small like Nkem's. The whispers began again. Her name returned to the air like an old wound opening. And that's when the dreams started. The dreams. People began to dream of her, the girl with the blue eyes. In the dreams, she stood by the river, calling softly. Sometimes she smiled, sometimes she wept. And sometimes she said nothing at all, only pointed at the village with a face full of sadness. After those dreams, the dreamers would fall sick. Some died. Others simply vanished into the forest at night, never to return. No one talked openly about it, but everyone knew Nkem had come back. The stranger. One evening when the sun was dying red over the forest, a stranger came to the village. He was tall, dressed in a long dark robe, carrying a staff carved with the shape of a river snake. He said his name was Odin, a traveler and dream reader from a faraway land. He claimed the river's spirit was restless, trapped between the world of the living and the dead. He said the villagers had done something terrible, and the spirit wanted balance. The chief welcomed him, desperate for help. That night, they lit a large fire in the square and asked Odin what could be done. He looked at the flames, then at the people, and said, "The one you cast away has returned. She is neither dead nor alive. Her heart is still here, waiting." When he said that, the wind blew suddenly, and somewhere deep in the forest, a flute began to play. The return. We all froze. The sound was soft at first, sweet, sorrowful, and slow. Then it grew louder, echoing across the huts, through the trees, until even the ground seemed to hum. The fire flickered. Children began to cry. The chief shouted for everyone to stay inside, but the sound of the flute was everywhere, inside, outside, even in our dreams that night. By dawn we found the tracks again. Bare feet, small and delicate, leading from the forest to the center of the village. And there, right before the shrine, lay a flute carved from bone, the same one we had seen years ago. But this time it was wet, like it had been pulled out of the river. The night of the mirror water. That night the river came back to life. It flooded without rain, rising higher than anyone had seen before. The surface of the water was smooth like glass, reflecting the moon perfectly, too perfectly. When people looked into it, they didn't see their own faces. They saw Nkem's. Some screamed. Others fell to their knees. And then the water began to move. From the middle of the river, she rose, glowing faint blue, her eyes